Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will discuss the absolutely heartbreaking turn of events for Carter and Daphne as Bridget delivers a devastating cancer diagnosis instead of the pregnancy news they were praying for. And I just have to say right off the bat that I am completely wrecked by this episode. I am sitting here staring at my screen and my hands are literally shaking because I cannot believe what the writers just did to us. I am running on zero sleep and way too much caffeine, but I had to get this video out to you guys immediately because we need to talk about this. We need to process this together because what just happened to Carter Walton and Daphne Rose is probably one of the most tragic and unfair things I have ever seen on this soap opera. So let's just start from the beginning of this absolute nightmare. We all know that Carter and Daphne have been trying for a baby. They are newlyweds. They are so in love. They are literally the most stable and pure couple on the entire show right now. And they wanted to start a family. And Daphne was having all these symptoms. She was exhausted all the time. She was feeling these little flutters in her stomach. And naturally, she thought she was pregnant. Carter thought she was pregnant. We all thought she was pregnant. But then she took that home pregnancy test and it was negative. And she was so baffled because her body was telling her one thing, but the plastic stick was telling her another. So they decided to go to the hospital to get real blood work done, to get a definitive answer from a doctor. And they were praying that it was just a false negative, that the home test was just wrong, which happens all the time, right? So they go to the hospital with hope in their hearts. And while Daphne is dealing with all of this anxiety and hope, let's look at what Carter is doing. Because Carter's day was already a complete mess before he even got to the hospital. Carter is at Forrester Creations, trying to do his job as the chief operating officer. But he can't even do his job because he has to play babysitter to RJ and Will. These two guys are acting like absolute toddlers. They have this massive rivalry going on over Elektra. And it has been brewing for weeks. And it finally boiled over right there in the CEO office. RJ and Will actually got into a physical shoving match, a violent brawl at work. And who has to step in and stop it? Carter. Of course it is Carter. Because Carter is the only adult in that building apparently. So he physically throws himself between RJ and Will. He breaks up this testosterone-fueled fight. And he is exhausted. He is annoyed. He just wants to go be with his wife. He doesn't want to deal with RJ's entitlement or Will's volatile temper. He just wants to know if he's going to be a father. So Carter leaves that toxic mess at the office and he rushes to the hospital. He rushes to be by Daphne's side. And you can just see the contrast here. You can see how stupid and petty the RJ and Will fight is compared to what Carter's about to face. RJ and Will are fighting over a girl who doesn't even know what she wants. And Carter is about to fight for his wife's actual life. And I have to rant about the rest of the Forrester family for a second too. Because while Carter and Daphne are sitting in that sterile hospital waiting room, what is everyone else doing? Brooke is actually sitting there encouraging RJ's toxic behavior. She tells him to follow his heart and go after Elektra, even though she is with Will. Brooke is enabling him. And Ridge is giving lectures, but he is completely blind to his own hypocrisy. And Brooke is also busy fighting with Katie, a massive sister feud over the Logan name for a fashion house. A fashion house name, who cares? It is also shallow. The drama at Forrester Creations is so incredibly shallow when you compare it to the real life and death stakes happening at the hospital. But let's get back to the hospital. Because this is the scene that absolutely broke me. Daphne is sitting there and she is stressed. And she is not just stressed about the test results. She is stressed because she has been carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders lately. She is the only one who knows the truth about Ivy. Daphne knows that Ivy stole Electra's letter. Daphne knows that Ivy threw away the WE necklace. Daphne knows that Ivy orchestrated this entire breakup between Will and Elektra. And Daphne has been the moral compass. She has been getting in Ivy's face and warning her that the truth has to come out. Daphne refuses to stay silent, and carrying that kind of secret takes a toll on a person. It causes physical stress, it causes anxiety, and Daphne has been dealing with all of this toxic energy from Ivy while her own body is literally failing her. It is just so incredibly unfair. Daphne is fighting for the truth, she is fighting for what is right, and she gets rewarded with this. So they are in the exam room, and the door opens, and Bridget Forrester walks in, and Bridget is a great doctor. We all love Bridget. She is family to them, basically. But the second Bridget walked through that door, the entire vibe in the room shifted. You could feel it through the screen. Because Bridget did not have a smile on her face. She did not have that bright, happy energy of a doctor who is about to tell a couple they are having a baby. She looked devastated. She looked like she had been crying in the hallway before she walked in. And Bridget was holding the test results. And she was just staring at them. And Bridget is a professional, but she is also human. And having to look at Carter and Daphne, two people she cares about, and deliver this news, it was agonizing to watch. Bridget hesitated. She tried to find the right words. But there are no right words for this. There is no gentle way to drop a bomb like this. So Bridget just says it. She tells them that the test was not a false negative. Daphne's not pregnant. There is no baby. But the blood work showed something else. The blood work in the scans showed something terrifying. And then Bridget drops the word cancer. And not just cancer, advanced stage cancer. And I literally gasped out loud when she said it, because it is the exact opposite of what they were expecting. They thought they were creating life. They thought Daphne's body was nurturing a new little soul, and instead her body is growing a tumor, a disease that is trying to kill her. The sheer cruelty of that plot twist is staggering. To take the symptoms of pregnancy, the fatigue, the flutters, and reveal that they are actually symptoms of advanced stage cancer. It is brilliant writing, I will admit that. But it is also emotional terrorism for the viewers. We did not deserve this. Carter and Daphne did not deserve this. And let's talk about Carter's reaction, because the actor deserves an Emmy for this single scene. Carter just shattered. You could see his entire world collapse in his eyes. He is a man who fixes things. He is the COO. He handles legal loopholes. He handles PR disasters. He fixes everyone's problems. But he cannot fix this. He cannot negotiate with cancer. He cannot draft a contract to make the tumor go away. He is completely, utterly powerless. And for a man who is so used to being in control, that is the most terrifying feeling in the world. He just looked at Bridget like he was begging her to say it was a mistake. And think about Carter's history on this show. Think about everything he has been through. He has always been the guy who gets his heart broken. He was left at the altar. He had his heart ripped out by Quinn. He tried with Paris, and that was a mess. He waited around for Katie, and she just strung him along. Carter has always been the runner-up. He has always been the best man, but never the groom who gets the happy ending. He officiates all these weddings for the Forresters and the Logans. He watches them get their happily ever afters over and over again, and he just goes home to an empty apartment. Until Daphne. Daphne was his light at the end of the tunnel. Daphne was the woman who finally chose him, who put him first, who wanted to build a real life with him. They got married, they were so happy, they were ready for a baby. And now the universe is literally ripping it all away from him again. It is like the writers have a vendetta against Carter Walton. Why can't he just be happy? Why does he have to suffer like this? He finally gets a wife and a chance at a family, and immediately she gets advanced stage cancer. It makes me so angry. I am so mad at the show right now. And then there's Daphne. Sweet, honest, brave Daphne. When Bridget said the word cancer, Daphne didn't even cry at first. She was just in shock. Complete and total shock. Because your brain cannot process that kind of information. You go in for a baby and you come out with a death sentence. She just stared blankly, like she was trying to wake up from a nightmare. And then she looked at Carter, and I think that is when the reality actually hit her. When she saw the absolute terror and devastation on her husband's face, she saw how much pain he was in, and she broke because Daphne loves Carter so much. And I know that in that moment, she wasn't even scared for herself. She was scared for him. She was terrified of what this disease was going to do to him. She knows his history. She knows how much he has lost. And the thought of being another loss for him is probably worse than the cancer itself. Bridget tried to comfort them. She really did. Bridget stepped in and tried to offer some medical hope. She talked about treatment plans and oncology teams. But you could hear the worry in Bridget's voice too, because Bridget is a doctor and she knows what advanced stage means. She knows the odds. Bridget knows that this is a highly complex situation. The cancer is aggressive, the timeline is not good, and Bridget couldn't hide her own fear. Even while she was trying to be the strong doctor, her voice was shaking. Because she knows she's sending her friends into a literal war zone. And then Carter did what Carter always does. He stepped up, even though he is completely broken inside. Even though his dream of a baby is shattered into a million pieces. He reached out and he grabbed Daphne's hand. He held on to her so tight, like he was trying to physically anchor her to the earth. And he looked her in the eyes, and he made a vow. He told her that they are going to fight this. He told her that she is not alone. He swore to her that he will be by her side for every single appointment. Every single treatment. Every single bad day. he vowed to fight until the very end. And it was such a beautiful, tragic moment because the future ahead of them is so dark. It is just filled with shadows and uncertainty and pain. They don't know if she's going to survive this. They don't know what the next few months are going to look like. All their plans are just gone. The nursery they were probably dreaming of, gone. The baby names, gone. Replaced by chemotherapy and radiation and hospital beds. It is a complete paradigm shift. And it is going to test their marriage in ways they never could have imagined. But if any couple can survive this, it is Carter and Daphne because their love is real. It is not built on manipulation like Ivy's schemes. It is not built on toxic rivalry like RJ and Will. It is built on genuine respect and devotion. And Carter is not going to let her go without the fight of his life. He is going to move heaven and earth to save her. But I just can't stop thinking about the ripple effects of this. What is this going to do to the rest of the canvas? Because Daphne has been the one pushing Ivy to confess. Daphne is the one who was going to blow the lid off the whole Elektra and Will secret. And now Daphne's fighting for her life. Is she even going to care about Ivy's petty high school drama anymore? Probably not. When you are facing advanced stage cancer, who kissed who in the Forrester showroom doesn't really matter. So Ivy might actually get away with her manipulation for a while longer because Daphne is going to be completely consumed by her treatment. And Carter is going to be completely consumed by taking care of her. He is probably going to have to take a leave of absence from Forrester Creations, which means Ridge and Steffi are going to have to handle the business without him. And maybe, just maybe, seeing what Carter and Daphne are going through will give these other characters a reality check. Maybe RJ and Will realize how stupid their shoving match was. When they hear that Daphne has cancer, maybe they will stop acting like entitled brats and realize how fragile life actually is. Maybe Brooke will stop obsessing over the Logan name and realize that family is more important than branding. Because tragedy has a way of putting things into perspective. And this is a massive tragedy. This is the kind of storyline that shakes the entire foundation of the show. And I am just so heartbroken for Carter. I keep going back to him because he was so close. He was right there. He had his wife. He thought he was having a baby. He was finally getting his turn in the sun. And the writers just snatched it away. It is brutal. But I will say this. The acting we are going to get from Lawrence St. Victor in the coming weeks is going to be phenomenal. He is going to act his heart out. And we are all going to be crying right along with him. Because this is real human drama. This isn't fashion show sabotage. This is life. So we are just going to have to brace ourselves. We're going to have to watch Carter and Daphne walk down this incredibly dark path. We're going to watch them fight. And we are going to pray that the writers don't actually kill her off. Because Carter cannot survive another loss. He just can't. I am going to keep following this storyline closely, even though it hurts to watch. Because Carter and Daphne deserve our support. They are the heart of this show right now. And I just hope that Bridget can find some miracle treatment. I hope that the Forrester resources can save her. But right now today, it is just dark. The hope is gone. The baby is a tumor. And Carter Walton is holding his wife's hand, staring into the abyss. It is a masterpiece of tragic storytelling, but God, it hurts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I am going to go cry into a pillow now. And I want to talk about the hospital room itself for a second. Because the atmosphere was just so suffocating. You could hear the machines beeping in the background. You could see the sterile white walls. It is such a cold, clinical environment to receive the worst news of your entire life. There is no warmth there. There is no comfort. It is just you, your partner, and the cold, hard medical facts. And Bridget, despite being family, had to deliver those facts with clinical precision. She had to explain the staging. She had to explain why the symptoms mimicked a pregnancy. Because apparently certain types of advanced tumors can cause hormonal shifts. They can cause your body to react in ways that feel exactly like you are carrying a child. The fatigue is your body fighting the cancer. The flutters are the tumor affecting your internal organs. It is so insidious. It is a disease that literally tricks your own mind and body into feeling hope right before it destroys you. And Bridget had to sit there and explain this biological betrayal to Daphne. She had to explain that her own body was lying to her. And Carter, listening to this medical jargon, you could see his brain trying to process it, trying to find a loophole, trying to find a second opinion. because that is what Carter does. He looks for the clause in the contract that saves the day. But Bridget made it very clear. The tests were conclusive, the scans were clear, there is no loophole here. There is only the fight. And Bridget promised to bring in the best oncologists in the world. She promised that the entire Forrester family would rally behind them. But in that moment, none of that mattered. Because at the end of the day, when the door closes and the doctor leaves, it is just the two of them. It is just Carter and Daphne alone in the dark. And that is the reality of a cancer diagnosis. People can send flowers. People can send their prayers. Ridge and Brooke and Steffi can offer all the money in the world, but they cannot take the chemo for her. They cannot feel the fear for her. Carter is the only one who is going to be in the trenches with her every single night when the terror sets in. And I just hope the writers give this storyline the respect it deserves. I don't want to see this rushed. I don't want to see a miracle cure in 2 weeks. If you are going to do an advanced stage cancer storyline, you have to show the ugly side of it. You have to show the exhaustion. You have to show Carter breaking down in the hallway when Daphne can't see him. You have to show the real, raw human toll of this disease, because anything less would be an insult to what they just set up today. And frankly, I am exhausted just thinking about it. The show has been a roller coaster lately, but this is a straight drop into a canyon. We went from the high of a potential baby to the absolute rock bottom of terminal illness in the span of one episode. It is narrative whiplash of the highest order, and I am still reeling from it. I know you guys are too. My comment section is already blowing up with people who are just as devastated and angry as I am. We are all grieving this fictional baby, and now we are terrified for this fictional woman. So that is where we are. That is the state of the bold and the beautiful today. RJ and Will are shoving each other like frat boys. Brooke and Katie are fighting over a trademark. Sheila is lurking in the shadows watching Deacon and Taylor. And in the middle of all this ridiculous soapy chaos, Carter Walton is holding his dying wife's hand, begging the universe for a little more time. It is a profound and heartbreaking contrast, and it is going to change the fabric of this show forever. I just can't get over how they constructed this entire plot. The pacing of it, the way they built up Daphne's hope, the way they had her talking about the baby, talking about the future, talking about everything she wanted to build with Carter. And then they just pulled the rug out. It is a classic soap opera trope, but it hits so much harder because of who it is happening to. If this was happening to someone who constantly causes drama, maybe it wouldn't sting as much. But Daphne is a saint. She has been nothing but kind and supportive. And Carter is literally the backbone of the Forrester Company. They are the good guys. And the good guys are losing right now. And think about the conversations they are going to have now. Carter has to call his friends. He has to tell Ridge. He has to tell Steffi. He has to explain why he won't be at work. He has to say the words out loud to other people. And every time he says it, it is going to become more real. Every time he has to say, my wife has cancer, a little piece of him is going to break. And Daphne has to tell her family. She has to face the pity in people's eyes. That is the worst part about getting sick. Everyone looks at you differently. They look at you like you are already gone. And Daphne is so strong. She has been so strong against Ivy. But cancer is not a person you can reason with. You can't just confront cancer in a showroom and demand it tells the truth. It doesn't care about your morals. It doesn't care about your plans. It just takes. And I am terrified to see Daphne lose that spark she has. I am terrified to see her get weak. Because she has been such a force of nature since she arrived on canvas. But I also know that Carter is not going to let her give up. He is going to be her shield. He is going to research every alternative therapy. He is going to consult doctors in Europe. He is going to do whatever it takes. Because Carter does not know how to fail when it comes to the people he loves. He has failed in romance before, but not because he didn't try. He failed because the other person wasn't fully invested. But Daphne is fully invested. They are in this together. And that moment in the hospital room, when he grabbed her hand, that was the realest moment I have seen on daytime television in a long time. There was no melodramatic music. There was no overacting. It was just quiet, suffocating fear and a desperate vow to survive. It was beautiful and it was terrible all at the same time. So I am going to wrap this up because I am just rambling at this point. I am just so full of emotions and I needed to dump them all out here. I need you guys to tell me I am not crazy for being this upset about a TV show because it feels real today. It feels like we are watching our friends go through a tragedy. And I am just going to be holding my breath until the next episode. We have to see how they handle the aftermath. We have to see what the treatment plan is. We have to see if there is any hope at all. Until then, just hold your loved ones a little tighter today. Because You never know when a simple doctor's appointment is going to change your entire life. You never know when the flutters of hope are going to turn into the worst news imaginable. Stay strong, Carter and Daphne. We are all rooting for you, and I will see you guys in the next video, because I am definitely going to need to talk about this again tomorrow.